The courtroom air hung thick with a scent of polished oak and stale coffee, a suffocating blend that clawed at my throat as I sat rigid on the wooden bench. My hands, clasped in my lap, were slick with sweat, nails digging crescents into my palms. Then came the words, sharp, venomous, slicing through the murmurs like a blade. "She's sterile, Your Honor." Barren. Incapable of giving me the air I deserve. My husband, Alexander Voss, millionaire tech mogul, stood there in his tailored Armani suit. His voice steady, almost bored, as if he were discussing a faulty stock trade rather than shattering my soul in front of strangers. Terrell. The word echoed in my skull, a hammer blow that blurred my vision. I felt the heat rush to my face, a burning humiliation that made my ears ring. How dare he? After 7 years of marriage, of building his empire from the shadows while he basked in the spotlight, this was how he repaid me. I wanted to scream, to lunge across the room and claw that smug expression off his chiseled face. But I sat frozen, my heart pounding like a trapped animal, tears stinging my eyes but refusing to fall. Not here. Not in front of him. The judge, an older woman with silver-streaked hair and a no-nonsense gaze, paused, her pen hovering over her notes. "Mr. Voss, that's a serious accusation. Do you have evidence to support this claim in your divorce proceedings?" Alexander's lawyer, a slick weasel named Harlan, slid a folder across the table. "Medical records, Your Honor. From her own fertility specialist. She's known for years and hid it from my client." Twisted, vicious lies. I'd never been to a specialist. Our struggles with conception were mutual, or so I'd thought. But as the folder opened, pages fluttering like accusatory whispers, I saw the forged signatures, the fabricated dates. My breath hitched. He hadn't just betrayed me. He'd orchestrated this public execution to paint me as the villain, to justify his affair with that 20-something model who'd been plastered across tabloids for months. The gallery shifted uncomfortably, reporters scribbling furiously, a few sympathetic glances my way, but mostly the cold curiosity of vultures. My lawyer, a harried public defender I'd scraped together funds for, stammered an objection, but it was weak, drowned out by Harlan's confident rebuttal. Inside, rage boiled, mixing with a heartbreak so raw it felt like my chest was caving in. How had I not seen this coming? The late nights at the office, the sudden trips abroad, the way his touches turned mechanical, then absent. Denial had been my shield, but now it shattered, leaving me exposed, raw. As the hearing adjourned for recess, Alexander caught my eye across the room. No remorse, just a flicker of triumph. His lips curling into that predatory smile I'd once found charming. "It's over, Elena," he mouthed silently, and I felt resentment coil in my gut like a serpent awakening. That night, alone in my former penthouse, the city lights blurring through rain-streaked windows, I paced the marble floors, the echo of my footsteps a hollow companion. The envelope sat on the kitchen island, unopened, delivered by courier just hours after court. No sender, just my name scrawled in elegant script. My fingers trembled as I tore it open, spilling out a single USB drive and a note. The truth he buried. Use it wisely. Heartbreak gave way to obsession as I plugged it in. Files upon files, emails, bank statements, medical reports. Not mine but his. Alexander had undergone fertility testing years ago, results hidden. Severe oligospermia, near infertility. He'd known all along it was him, not me. But he'd let me blame myself, endure the silent accusations, the pitying looks from his family. And worse. Correspondence with Harlan, plotting to forge my records, to humiliate me in court for a cleaner divorce settlement. He'd drain me dry, leave me penniless, all while parading his new life. Guilt flickered had I ignored signs. Pushed him away with my own ambitions. But no, this was calculated cruelty. Resentment hardened into cold resolve. I wouldn't just survive this. I'd make him pay. Fantasies swirled, exposing him publicly, watching his empire crumble. But doubt crept in. What if it backfired? What if I became the monster? The next morning I met my best friend Lila at a dimly lit cafe, the aroma of espresso grounding me amid the chaos. She slid into the booth, her eyes wide with concern. "Elena, you look like hell. What happened in court?" I recounted it all, my voice low, trembling with suppressed rage. "He called me sterile. In front of everyone. But this." I slid the USB across the table. "It's proof he's the one who's broken." Lila's face darkened, her fingers tightening around her mug. "That bastard. I've always hated how he treated you. Like arm candy for his board meetings. What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet," I lied, my mind already spinning webs. Inner conflict gnawed. Revenge felt intoxicating, but what if it consumed me? Moral lines blurred, exposing him was justice, right? Not vengeance. As days blurred into weeks, I played the part of the broken wife. Publicly, I wept in interviews, feeding the media's hunger for drama. Privately, I dug deeper. Hired a private investigator with the last of my savings. Discreet, shadowy meetings in parking garages, the scent of exhaust mingling with my growing paranoia. Reports trickled in. Alexander's affair wasn't new. There were others. Offshore accounts siphoning funds from our joint ventures. He'd built his fortune on my ideas. My tech patents he'd claimed as his own. Humiliation festered into obsession. Nights were sleepless, filled with visions of his downfall. I'd imagine his face crumpling as truths emerged. His empire fracturing. But fear lingered. What if he struck back? He had power connections. Doubt whispered, "Walk away, Elena. Start over. Yet resolve one." I began subtly. Anonymous tips to journalists, hinting at financial irregularities. The first article hit. A small tech blog questioning Voss Industries accounting. Alexander brushed it off in a press conference. His laugh forced, eyes darting. I watched from my laptop, heart racing, a thrill of power surging through me. Tension built slowly. At a gala we both attended, unavoidable in our circles. He cornered me by the champagne fountain, the crystal clinking like warning bells. "What game are you playing, Elena?" His voice was silk over steel, breath hot with whiskey. "Me. Playing." I forced a smile, my pulse thundering. "I'm just trying to move on, darling. Like you suggested." His eyes narrowed, suspicion flickering. "Those leaks. If it's you. If it's me." I leaned in, voice a whisper laced with venom. "You'll what? Call me sterile again?" He stiffened, a crack in his facade. For the first time I saw fear in those cold blue eyes. It fueled me, but guilt twisted. Was this who I was now? A schemer in the shadows. As part one closed, the envelope's contents burned in my mind. The judge's recess would end soon, and I'd hand over the real evidence. But revenge demanded more than legal victory. It craved his utter destruction. The courthouse loomed like a monolith under storm clouds, rain pattering against the steps as I ascended, the envelope clutched in my hand like a talisman. Inside, the air was electric, charged with anticipation. Alexander sat at his table, immaculate as ever, but I noticed the tells. The slight twitch in his jaw, the way his fingers drummed subtly on the wood. He knew something was coming. The leaks had escalated. Major outlets now probing his finances. His stock dipping 15%. Paranoia had set in, his calls to me unanswered. His messages increasingly desperate. "We can settle this privately. Don't make it worse." But worse was exactly what I planned. Inner turmoil raged. Obsession had morphed into a cold, calculated machine, but flashes of guilt pierced through. What if this destroyed me too? Moral conflict clawed. Revenge felt justified, yet it poisoned my soul, turning heartbreak into something darker. The judge called the session to order, her gavel a thunderclap. "Mrs. Voss, your counsel mentioned new evidence." My lawyer nodded, voice steadier now with my backing. I rose, legs steady despite the adrenaline flood, and approached the bench. "Your Honor, this envelope contains proof that my husband falsified medical records to defame me. It's his fertility issues, not mine, and evidence of fraud in our marital assets. The courtroom hushed, a collective intake of breath. Alexander shot to his feet. Objection. This is slanderous hearsay. The judge's eyes sharpened. Overruled. Let's see it. As she opened the envelope, time stretched, suspense coiling like a spring. Papers spilled out. Printouts from the USB, authenticated by my PI. Emails, timestamps irrefutable. The judge's brow furrowed. Then her expression hardened. Mr. Voss, these documents suggest perjury and forgery. Care to explain? Harlan blustered, but Alexander's face drained of color. His empire's facade cracking. This is fabricated. She's bitter, Your Honor. Unstable. The word ignited fresh fury, but I held back, letting the evidence speak. Whispers rippled through the gallery. Phones buzzing as reporters texted leaks. His stock would plummet further by day's end. But this was only the prelude. As court adjourned amid chaos, Alexander storming out, flanked by security, I followed at a distance, the rain soaking my coat, a veil for my pursuit. He headed to his downtown office, the glass tower piercing the skyline like his ambition. I waited in a nearby alley, shadows cloaking me, heart pounding with a mix of fear and exhilaration. That night, I executed the next phase. A hacker contact, procured through Lila's underground connections, breached his servers. Not destruction but revelation. Internal memos exposing insider trading, employee exploitation. Leaked to the SEC anonymously. By morning, federal agents raided Voss Industries, the news helicopters circling like vultures. Alexander called me then. His voice ragged over the line. Elena, please. We can talk. Hey, I made mistakes. But this will ruin us both. Us. I laughed, a brittle sound echoing in my empty apartment. There is no us. You made sure of that in court. Silence stretched, then a plea. What do you want? Money. I'll sign anything. I hung up, resentment surging. But doubt flickered. His voice held genuine desperation. Was I pushing too far? Moral grayness enveloped me. Justice or vengeance? The line blurred. The climax built over days. Alexander's world unraveled. Board members jumping ship. His mistress dumping him via social media. Paparazzi hounding his every move. I watched from afar, a ghost in his nightmare. Yet inner conflict peaked. Fantasies of reconciliation haunted me. Guilt over the employees caught in the crossfire. Obsession waned, replaced by weary resolve. The final confrontation came at our Hamptons estate, now contested in the divorce. I arrived unannounced, the ocean's roar mirroring my turmoil. He was there, disheveled, pouring scotch with shaking hands. The room smelled of salt air and defeat, waves crashing against the cliffs below. Elena, he rasped, eyes bloodshot. You win. Happy. I stepped closer, the envelope's duplicate in my pocket. Win. This isn't a game, Alex. You humiliated me, stole from me, lied about me. He slumped into a chair, head in hands. I was scared. The board wanted an air, stability. Panic. The affair. It was nothing. Layered motivations emerged. His fear of vulnerability, pressure from investors. Not excuses, but complexities that humanized him, stirring unwanted pity. You could have told me, I whispered, voice cracking. We could have faced it together. Tears glistened in his eyes, a vulnerability I'd never seen. I know. I'm sorry. Suspension peaked. Forgiveness tempted, but betrayal's scar ran deep. Then the twist. He reached for a drawer, pulling a gun. If I can't have it all, neither can you. Panic surged, but I was ready. My PI had warned of his unraveling. I'd recorded the call. As he raised it, trembling, I dodged, grabbing a vase and smashing it over his head. He crumpled, the gun skittering away. Police arrived, my anonymous tip. Alexander was arrested for attempted assault. his scandals sealing his fate. But the true payoff, in custody, he confessed everything, the weight of guilt breaking him. Poetic justice, he'd destroyed himself. Months later, I stood on that same cliff, wind whipping my hair, the empire rebuilt under my name. Heartbreak had forged me, revenge tempered by regret. The envelope. Burn. Some truths were best left to ashes.